My name is Sheri Bear, and I am a ceramic artist. I would like to take this opportunity to thank and acknowledge the Rehoboth Art League. This year would have marked their 47th Outdoor Fine Arts and Fine Crafts Show. The cancellation of this outdoor show not only impacts the artists who have spent months crafting their pieces, it is a major fundraiser for the Art League. Without their support of the arts, many artists would be left unknown. Thank you in advance for your continued support of the arts.
Before we get started with our demonstration today, I wanted to give you a quick tour of my studio. It is in our backyard, and it is a renovated hen house that we remodeled a few years ago. It has great light, has great sound, and a nice atmosphere. So when you come in, I've strategically placed some inspiration boards that show different animals, eye placement, ear placement, personality. Some of these goats are funny, and so I try to capture that also in my pieces. So this is one inspiration board. And then I also have photocopied pictures that I hang around, again, for inspiration. I pull them off when I need them and use them. Roosters have fantastic feathers, so I try to have pictures of those around that I can resource when I need them. I also do a series of horse heads. So again, not all horses are created equal, so eye placement, ears, some of their ears are pointed, some are not. So I try to have a variety of pictures here depending on how the piece is turning out. You also see the jowls. It's an important part of a horse when I'm putting it together. So I have those pictures. And then I also do a series of pods. So I have a board just with pods on it, mostly pears, that I can see shape, color, the stems. Some stems are stubby and some are longer. So I have that board. And then coming over here, I also have a board almost just dedicated to hens and roosters. There's a few oddballs in there. My girlfriend's dog, which is the first piece that I did, Mia, and so her picture is up there. And then coming around here to my work table, this is where I will hang multiple pictures of whatever I am currently working on. In this case, I'm going to be demonstrating how to make a rat. So I was approached right before quarantine to do a series of city rats. So I researched those during while we were off, and made a series that will be headed to a local gallery. So you'll see it has some that are sitting, different poses, so I can look at their body structure. I don't work tight, I work very loose. So I don't do things in an exact fashion, but I try to take what I'm seeing and adapt it in an artistic way. I'm going to zoom back out here. You see my work table. I have things set up and ready to go for the demonstration. And yes, you do see movement. There's a puppy that just showed up. So anyway, I am all set up, and in a minute we will get started with the actual demonstration. Once I have the basic form built for the rat, then I will start to layer in the clay. I do it in a hand building fashion, and I'll work from the bottom up and start to attach the seams. Every time I get past an area where I have marked for the eyes, the ears, the tail, the nose, I will go ahead and put markers in there, and then I'll prop things up as I need to. Once the piece has set overnight
and is leather hard, then I will start to apply my slip to the piece. In this case, I've decided to go with a dark to light coloration. So I start to layer in the different colored slips, and at the same time then come in and put my underglazes on the areas that need underglaze. So the carrot, the eyes, I'll come in one last time with another light layer, and then it's ready to go. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to start with a piece that I bisque fired a few weeks ago. So I already have the slip on it. I'm going to determine where I want to put the underglaze. So I water down white underglaze and I start applying it. By watering it down, it allows me to encourage drips and runs on the piece. I will come back and clean those drips and runs up later, but I want to start at the top and I want to start applying the white. I already determined that I was going to do light to dark with the slip colors. So now I want to come over it with a white and start applying that. So you'll also see I don't overthink when I'm applying the underglaze to the pieces. I will come back again and I'll clean up some of those, the ends of those runs. Otherwise they don't fire nicely. So you can just tap it with a brush and get all that, the end of that drip off. So I'll continue around the piece and get the underglaze over the slip. I find that that's, for myself, it's a better way to go. It's more forgiving if I put the slip on first, fire it, and then come back and do underglazes. I rarely use an overglaze, which for those of you who are not familiar with pottery or ceramics, an overglaze has glass in the formula, which makes your pieces shiny. And again, for what I do, I don't like the shine that you get with an overglaze. So I will use almost strictly slips and underglazes. Now once this is fired, the underglaze and the slip colors melt together. So, so you're gonna see a lot of runs and I'm encouraging them, but some will disappear because they will fire in with the slips and sort of blend together. So I'm just gonna come through again, come around the bottom, get some of the white in the bottom, what I'm considering to be the body of the rat. The base is sort of the base, so I'm trying not to apply color to that. I'm allowing the runs to come down over it, but I'm not necessarily painting that part of it. And now I'm going to clean up some of those drips, just catch the end of them. Okay. Let's get the ears here. Let's let some of this underglaze run down over the ears. All right. So now I'm going to come back in and highlight the nose. So I have black underglaze, and I'm going to come back in and give the nose its definition.
I already placed a small ball at the end with, if you watched on the first part, with a plug on it. So there is a definition to the nose. So I'm just going to come in and add some underglaze and get that nose defined. When you use the underglazes as your last coat, there is a little bit of sheen. It's more of a matte finish that you get with this, and not the shine. Okay, I think that's good for the nose. Now, one of the fun things I like with these rats is nail polish, or the look of nail polish. So I'm gonna come back in. I defined where the nails are. I actually depress them, not add them to it. So I'm gonna come back through and add some red underglaze to where the nails would be. Just adds a fun aspect to these pieces. They're sort of whimsical, quirky. Some people love them and some people don't. But I do like to get the nail polish on them. So I'll just come through and give it one coat. I don't want to, sometimes on the underglazes requires 2 to 3 coats. I just give it one coat. I want it to be there, but I don't necessarily want it to be distracting. Okay, one last nail here. And then I think we're good. And then for the final layer, before we put it in the kiln and fire it for the last time, I will apply an overglaze to the eyes. Because it's a rat, I want the eyes to be beady looking, and you can accomplish that with the overglaze because it will add shine just to those eyes when it's finished. Okay, and I think I may want to add some little bit more glaze to the back of this. I do put a stamp on the back. My trademark stamp is on the back, so I'm gonna add just a little bit of glaze here to the back of it. Underglaze, I should say. Let that run a little bit, and then come down and highlight that where my initials are. So as soon as that dries, I'll wipe a little bit of that away, but I think he is ready to go in the kiln for the final firing. So the piece has been fired to cone 6, and it's now ready for the final coat that I put on it, which is beeswax. So I'm just checking it to make sure that no area needs attention or there isn't anything on it that would need to be filed down. So I have melted beeswax. I'm going to start applying it at the top. I try to hit the high spots where I want more of the wax than not. And as soon as it hits the clay, it does coagulate immediately. So you have to get it on. It's a process. Sometimes this can take all day. Sometimes it can take 2 days until everything is covered. So I'll just put a little bit more here on the nose. It's the front of the piece, so I definitely want to make sure that I have that beeswax and the shine on it. Okay. A little bit more. And then we're ready to get the torch out and start melting it into the piece. Let's get a little bit more on here. All right, now we're going to get the kitchen torch out. I just use a small butane torch. And I'll start at the top and I'll remelt it. And as it runs down, it fills in the pores and it starts to give it a really nice patina. So you can see how the flame is moving the melted wax down the piece. So again, I start at the top and just work that wax down onto the piece. You see the difference from where the wax is being melted to where it's still the raw clay. It's a rather laborious part of the process, but it's when I really feel like the piece comes to life and gets some brightness and some glow to it. So I'll use that flame to help push the wax down onto the piece. Like I said, I work from the top and work down. You can see again how the wax is running down the piece. You can see it actually changes the color of the slips and the glazes. It has the beeswax that I use. It's a really nice, rich yellow. So it colors the clay the way I like to see it. After a bit, you have to turn the torch off, let that cool down, and let the piece cool down a little bit. See where your pockets of unmelted wax are, and then you can come back again and remelt those areas. Okay, so I'm going to let this cool down, take a look. Spin it around, take a look at it. So you'll be able to see here, as it runs down the piece, it will start to coagulate immediately because the clay is still cool. So I'll just keep coming in and working those areas and keep getting the wax to run down the piece. So that's the end of it, and it's a fun process. Thank you so much for watching the video.